all we can say is just pray that, like you say, that the groups and all that, like RTV does listen and stuff like that. So hopefully, it's still within a chance. Now we've got another question here for you. This is from Giles. If the bill does continue, what kind of police character would you personally like to see in the bill, and who would you want it played by? Bit of a difficult question, that I should imagine.
Yeah, the great thing I think about the bill is really that the main cast characters, they tend to sort of work out a little bit. Very many of them work as criminals to start off with, and the producers like the work that they did, and then they get invited back. So I think really that the casting of the bill, if you actually think over the years just how magnificent Angela Grosvenor, head of casting, and the casting directors did on that show, it was just perfect. You know, when you opened the door and there was, you know, this woman the other side of the door and this guy the other side of the door, the direction was so good. The producers have chosen the characters so well. And I think, again, it depends on where you're going to go. I think he had something quite unusual in the bill in that it was about uniformed cops. Everybody else that had tried to emulate that has failed. And I think it was that whole point of real good characterizations, the fact that Angela Grosvenor and her team would go out to theatres, watch actors, watch young actors, know who was available, knew what characters were available out there, and would cast us in that. You know, for me, playing Tony Stamp, it was perfect casting. My size, I was asking the management when young Alex got the part as the inspector, you know, that maybe it's time for Stamp to become a sergeant and maybe his wingman, and that might have been a bit more of an interesting angle for the character. But you know, and I worked with Alex, just emphasise about the young actor. I worked with Alex first when he was 14, and he was a young villain on the bill.
Right, that's fantastic. I didn't know he'd actually been in it before. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, Karen Knightley, all sorts of people who worked through the bill first off.
I've actually noticed that when during the early days of the bill, you could recognise some of the police officers that's actually been introduced with it as the kind of played villains first, didn't they, or something like that, or played an extra or whatever, and then take them back on again as a proper member of the bill, you know, as an officer.
I think Bruce Byron, I worked with him first, went on a big major story for Stamp, and a kidnap story, and they brought Bruce in as a guest head of CID, a special branch, who I drove around in a particular episode. And then, of course, when Richard Hanford, who was exec producer, and they were looking for someone up in CID, they came to me and asked me about Bruce Byron, you know, a bit like that question. I was able to say, oh, he'd be perfect, he'd be fantastic. And of course he was, and is.
That's brilliant. Another question that we've got, sticking to the cast and stuff like that, is from Elaine. She says, "Can you ask him if the bill was saved and he was asked to go back? Would he? So would you go back to the bill if it was saved and you was asked?"
If it was the right character, yeah, of course I would. I love Tony Stamp. A lot of people would say, you know, that since I've left, you know, are you stigmatised by that character, you know, you typecast now. Well, no, of course you are, because I take the uniform off. And the big question I get asked all the time is, aren't you Tony Stamp? I mean, people aren't 100% sure when you play a uniform character. That's the fun of playing a uniform character. The bill is such a unique show, and Jonathan Young, who was head of production, who was our chief exec at Talkback Thames, head of drama and drama development. You know, we spoke about Stamp, you know, once I'd left, about maybe what he would do next. So I think they were aware of, you know, just how comfortable I was playing that character, and also the affinity that I had with the real police. You know, I'm going down, as we said, to do this in-house video for the constabulary down here, and it's amazing. I go all over the country and do things for different police services, and to be accepted by the guys and the girls that do this job for real is a huge, huge humility, but yet wonderful privilege for me, you know, that they actually can relate to that character. And that is very, very special. And it would be quite sad, I think it's quite sad if public like a character as much as they do Stan, that you lose all of that. But, you know, that as an actor, as I said earlier, you know, I'm employed to play the character, and when it came to the point that they thought, well, they say to us, we think we've taken this character as far as he can go, is the lines they actually use here, and you kind of go, really? And you know, I was really sad to leave Stan behind, but at the same token, you know, there's other work out there, there's other characters to play, so you never know what's next.
Well, no, that's true. I mean, as we've already established, when you very first came on, you've been lucky enough to actually keep busy. Is there any other kind of acting, your TV roles or something like that that's probably coming your way, or is it a bit too early to say?
Well, you know, in our business, as you well know, we don't like to tempt fate. So we don't like to say too much about what's coming up, but I've had meetings with a producer that's written and producing his own film. It's called Vauxhall Cross. It's about it's the first female Bond, and they've asked me if I would play the head of the department, and so Edward Jago. So we're in discussions about that, and that if it goes ahead, would start sort of filming about June time and that sort of thing. And I'm always doing the odd telly bits, as you know. I do countdown and shows like that, which I really love doing. We're in discussions with all sorts of things. I've just spoken to the agent today, and it looks as though I'm going to Sevenoaks, which is in Kent, at the Stag Theatre to do Panto this year. We haven't been able to do Panto for a few years, and this will be my 17th Panto in all.
Right, that's fantastic. So there's still quite a lot to actually keep track on. We've had another message from Andrew. Now, we've basically covered most of the email, but he's got a personal note that he wants read out. He says, I miss PC Tony Stamp. Graham Cole made the character so realistic. On a personal note, I must say that it was Graham's comment on a IAM Institute of Advanced Mastering leaflet that spurred him to train for the advanced driving test. So he kind of inspired somebody to actually go on the advanced driving test, and he's very grateful to you for it.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I do a fair bit for the Institute of Advanced Motorists. It's a really good thing to do after you've passed your test. Maybe been driving for a year or so. Get out there and do an advanced test, because they're not looking to fail you. They're looking to, like, talk about the little nuances that you may have picked up, the little bad habits you may have picked up. And because, you know, to drive Sierra 1, which I did, I was never ever doubled in a driving stunt. I had to go out with the Met all the time. I had to hone my driving capabilities so that I was as good as the police that were out there doing it. So I did that course 8 or 9 times my time on the bill, and that training is very important. I think it's a lovely comment, and thank you, Andrew, for it. That's very special. I'm also very lucky that a lot of policemen come up to me and say that Stamp inspired them to become policemen, and that's huge, isn't it?
It is. That's definitely. I mean, it's a great. I suppose it's a great honour and a really good feeling if you've actually inspired somebody to do something good. You know, it's particularly becoming a member of the police force and stuff like that. I mean, that must make you feel absolutely fantastic.